In this video, I'm going to show you a simple way to spice up your chord progressions on guitar. We will only use 2 chords throughout this entire lesson. However, the possibilities regarding the chord progressions and the sounds you get from it will almost be endless. This approach is also an easy way to sound full and complete when playing chord progressions on your guitar while creating and playing multiple parts at one time. You will have a bass part to your chord progression, the chord itself, which is the harmony, as well as a melodic component. Hi, this is Simon Candy from Acoustic Guitar Lessons Online.net, and if you haven't yet, check out the video linked in the top right corner of this particular video. While I'll be reinforcing concepts taught in that lesson, today I'll be developing the ideas further too, so it's best to check out the lesson linked in the top right corner first, then come back to this one. That said, today I'm going to be showing you how to play chord progressions all over your instrument, creating almost endless variations of the same progression, sounding very full and complete on your own. Like the first video, I'll get you thinking and sounding more like a pianist than a guitarist when playing chords on your instrument in this way. However, this time we'll be adding a melody component to the chords you play. It's going to sound really cool. So let's get into it. Okay, so what we're going to do here is first, we're going to do what we did in the first video that I referenced, and you can still access with the link in the top right corner here. We're going to do what we did with the A chords in that video with E chords this time. So let me just briefly run through that to reinforce it, but with E triad shapes. So we were working with 4-3-2 string set triad shapes, meaning triads whose notes fell on the 4th, 3rd and 2nd strings. So I have this shape down here, which is actually in an open position because we've got an open 2nd string there. I've got this shape here at the 4th position, that's an E triad, and I've got this shape here at the 9th position, that's an E triad. Now the first shape I played here, as I said, is in an open position. I can also play that up here in the closed position at the 12th fret. So I'm going to include that as well. So what you have are the same shapes we were using for the A chord, only now they're in a different position because they're sounding out an E chord. And like the A chords, we're going to take the fretted note away from the 2nd string, leaving 2 fingers down and 2 open strings ringing through the open 2nd and open 1st strings. Now in the first shape here in the open position, I've already got an open string, so I only need to add the top string, and we get a nice E chord there. Then I can move up to this 2nd shape, take the 2nd finger off the 2nd string, and therefore I bring in the open 2nd string, and I've got the open 1st string, and I get a nice droning through of the open strings against the 2 notes of the E chord, fretted notes. And I could go up to this 3rd shape and again get rid of the note on the fretted note on the 2nd string, bringing in the open 2nd and 1st strings. And I can take this shape I had down here, as I said before, as a closed position shape, and again take the fretted note away from the 2nd string, and again bring in these droning strings, so they're a constant amongst each of these shapes. So we get the 1st shape, 2nd, the 3rd, and the 1st shape up an octave. Really nice sounding E chords, breaking out of just the open and bar chords. You know, that's fine, we use those, they're useful, but we want to do more. Now like the A chord, we're going to drone the root note against each of these shapes, making a much bigger sound. Like I said in the first lesson, I'm getting you to think like a pianist, okay? So far we've got the right hand happening here with our chord shapes, the higher end, you know, sounds nice. But we're missing some lower end here. Of course someone could play a chord behind you and there you got it. But there you have it. But if you are playing on your own, you just simply bring in, this time, the low open E string. And your sound gets much bigger. Keep all these really beautiful high ringing through resonating sounds, but the whole time you can keep that lower bottom end going with your thumb plucking the low open E string. So that's the left hand, right? The accompaniment, the lower end, the higher end, all in one hand here. Okay, that's how I'm thinking of it. I'm breaking it up. I've got the bass and I've got the harmony of the chord. Now, if you're strumming these chords, because we were looking at a few different approaches with the A chord before it, you can strum these chords, but you will want to mute out the fifth string. And with each shape, you've got a finger playing a fretted note on string 4. So that same finger, whilst playing the note it's playing on string 4, you can just have enough of the flesh of that finger covering the other side of the string to block out the fifth string. If you've got enough flesh of the finger that side of the string, then you'll be able to block out the fifth string just by touching it. And when you do, you can really strum all 6 strings and not sound the fifth string. You get really big sounds with an E chord in this case. Okay, so that's basically what we did with the A chord in the first lesson in a nutshell, only we're repeating the process across or using E triad shapes. Okay, so now we have A chord shapes from the first lesson and the E chord shapes I just ran you through, right? We've got the E shapes, the droning open strings, and the octave here. And from the previous lesson, we had the same approach applied to A triad shapes. Okay. So they're the shapes we're working with here. Now, because we've got 2 shapes, we can create a little progression or a vamp, let's say E to A. And there's 2 ways to approach this that are fantastic for training these shapes into your playing so you can see and visualize them and therefore use them very easily. So one is by shape and one is by position. So let me go through what each of those means. So by shape means that if I have an E chord and I'm going to use this first shape, or up here at the closed position. In fact, sorry, I've got to take away that first finger, don't I? So, or up here, then I'm going to use the same shape for the A chord, but I've got to move it, of course, to an A position, which is down here, around the 5th position. So by shape, I'm playing the vamp is E to A, and I'm playing it by shape, meaning I use the same shape for the E and A chords. So here's the E, droning the lower E string there. Here's the A, droning the low A string. So if I go to this E chord shape, at the 4th position, I'm going to use the same shape for my A. And if I use the 3rd shape that I have for E at the 9th position, I'm going to use the same shape for A. Okay, so that's the first way you want to train them because that's the easiest way. And by doing that, you get more familiar with where the shapes are for E and A, making by position the approach I'm about to show you much easier to do. Now, when you do play by shape, you are going to move up and down the fretboard a little bit to move from one chord to the next. By position, you won't be moving really anywhere. You're going to play each of the 2 chords in the vamp in a single position. So if I've got the first E shape down here in the open position, the closest A shape available to me is right there. So I've just played those 2 shapes by position, not by shape. The shapes are different, the position is the same. Okay, trying to speak here. So by position. Okay, so if I'm playing my E here, the closest A is this one. Okay, by position. Different shape, same position. So again, here's the E shape at the 4th position, here's the A at the 5th. And if I'm playing the 3rd E shape here, the closest A would be here. Okay, so by position is same position, different shapes. By shape is same shape, different positions. Okay, any chord shape you learn or set of chord shapes you learn, that's how you want to train them. So here's a really cool step we're going to be adding to this approach in today's lesson, and that is when you play these chords, we can add notes to them. When you play these chords, you are only, as you know, using 2 fingers at a time. And then we've got some droning open strings. And that in itself sounds great, and you can do a lot with it. So you don't have to take this any further. You already got a lot to work with there for an E and an A chord. However, we've got spare fingers, so we can add notes to our shape. Bring them in and out, different notes. Okay, I'm just making this up, but I'm adding notes, on the first and second strings around this first E shape. I'm purposely choosing notes that I know will be more or less in. I mean, that's quite dissonant, that sound there. It's quite a bluesy sound. Any note will work. I don't want you to think of right and wrong notes here. There are no right and wrong notes. There's dissonance and consonance. There's tension and release, but there's no right or wrong. So if you're on an E chord and you play this note, don't think, oh, that's wrong, that sounds horrible. That's tension. I don't think that's bad at all. I just think there's a lot of tension in that. Cool. Maybe that's the sound you want. We don't want everything to sound nice and beautiful necessarily. But if you get the tension, just resolve it. And the way to resolve tension doesn't always work, but works a lot of the time, is to, if you hit a note and it's like quite tense, it's got that dissonant sound, move it up or down a fret. So if I take this note, which is my first fret on the second string, and I hear it and it's got a lot of tension, and then I release it down to the second string, open second string, resolved. And if I take the same note and I move it up a fret, resolved. Okay, so when you hit a note and it doesn't sound great to you, or it sounds like a lot of tension and you want to resolve it, which you'll want to do most times, move it up or down a fret and you're probably going to resolve it even without knowing what the notes are. Okay, so that's just a little side thing there. However, we are adding notes to our chords, so I could take this E chord up here, okay, and adding notes to that. Okay, and I'm purposely right now picking notes that I know will sound in with the chord, and that's great, but of course you don't have to do that. As I said, you can use any notes you want. Just pick notes on the second or first strings. What you need to do is keep the little 2 chord shape down though. Don't lose that. You want that to ring through as you play and add the additional notes to your chords. And you can do the same on the A chord from the first lesson and the shapes we were just using before. Okay, it's really nice. This is the melody component we're getting here. On the A chords. So you get the idea there, adding notes. Don't judge the sound, just hear it and see how it sounds and see which sounds you like. I'll show you a little exercise you can do just to open your ear to all the possibilities. I'm going to use an E chord for this, our E chord shapes, the 3 shapes plus the octave shape. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to be playing a chromatic scale on the top string, all the way up. Chromatic is just playing 1 note at a time. So we're playing all the notes available to us, all the notes in music, all the way up. And we're going to be playing, the 3 chords that we've been using for the E. So we're going to be accompanying each of those notes and hearing how it sounds against our chord. So when I'm down here, I can get the first group of notes all sounding out against this first E shape. Okay, the first fret, the second, third, and fourth. You can hear some of the notes are in, some of the notes are out. Some of the notes cause tension, the others resolve that tension. That's music. Then we can be here on the second shape and the third shape, continuing our scale. And the first shape again, but up the octave. Okay, that's just to open your ear up. I'm not saying use all those notes in a passage of play or anything, but hear the sounds. Hear how some sound like nice landing spots, others sound like there's tension and you want to move to the next note. So listen for that. But that's showing you all the possibilities that you can bring into your chords here, and you can create almost endless ideas with just the E and A chords that we're looking at in today's lesson. There you have it, some examples that you can do when playing around with an E to A chord vamp and adding notes to the chords that we were playing previously with the open droning strings. If you were only sort of familiar with open chords and bar chords and you were looking at an E and A chord vamp, well, you'd have the open chords. You could use this chord combination, E, A, and you could play an E up here perhaps and an A here, or any sort of combination of that. And that's useful, and you will do that plenty of times. But that's just so limiting compared to what's possible on the instrument as far as harmony is concerned. So, and even just what I've shown you in today's lesson is still really the tip of the iceberg. But it takes something very simple and really blows it out and shows you how much you can bring to it, whilst keeping things pretty simple on a technical level. Play around with these ideas. As always, it's about applying the ideas yourself. So the ideas I've shown you in today's video, you can click the link in the first comment, pinned comment below this video, and it will take you to my website, to the specific web page that has some of the examples that I just played for you there, or very similar ones tabbed out. So check them out, because learning by example is great, but if it's all you do, that is play examples, you won't learn anything. You've then got to explore with the idea yourself. And we can do it with more than just E and A chords, but that's beyond the scope of our video today, our lesson today. So we'll leave it there with E and A, but play around with those ideas. It sounds really cool, and it just shows you a little bit of a glimpse into the possibilities as far as harmony is concerned on the guitar. If you like this video, then you will love this ebook audio I've created for you called Awesome Acoustic Rhythm Techniques that will transform the way you play your guitar. In this ebook, I take you through one of the most common chord progressions in music. What's not so common are the approaches I show you that can be applied to this progression. You will learn how to use embellishments and extensions to decorate the progressions you play, much like a pianist would, resulting in very cool, unique, and sophisticated sounding chord progressions. I will also show you great ways to play rhythm fills that punctuate the spaces between your chord changes, like the one in the progression I'm going to show you. This is much like the rhythm guitar playing of Jimi Hendrix, Stevie Ray Vaughan, or John Mayer. It's a very cool sound. So click the link in the description below this video and download your free ebook audio, Awesome Acoustic Rhythm Techniques that will transform the way you play your guitar. Let me know in the comments section what guitar topics you would like to see me cover in future videos. I read every comment and I would love to hear your suggestions. If you like this video, then hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and of course don't forget to hit the notification bell button so you know when I've released a new video. This is Simon Candy from acousticguitarlessonsonline.net. Thank you as always for watching this video, and I appreciate your time, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.